Okay, and we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope everybody has been having a very, very good Saturday. So let's get into the Manchester United stuff. I want to get talking first and foremost. We find ourselves in a bit of a debt crisis at the moment. The total debt on the money we owe has grown to over £1 billion. Look, it's always going to be growing when you're Manchester United, when you don't pay off the actual debt itself, but that debt has increased. And whenever we factor in considerations like money still owed on transfers and the money we have on the revolving credit facility, so pretty much on our credit card, Manchester United's debt is reaching a staggering £1 billion. It's absolutely ludicrous. So this is coming in from Dan Sheldon and from The Athletic. So the publication of the annual results for the financial year shows that Manchester United owe over £1 billion between the debt of 536 million, the borrowing of £160 million on the credit facility, and over £317 million on outstanding transfer fees. As Shade is down in the comments, good to see, man. Hope all's good. But yeah, look, Manchester United £1 billion in debt. We can talk about plans for stadium. We can talk about plans for Carrington, for transfers and stuff. But until this debt's gone, Manchester United's going to find themselves in a really difficult situation. We really, really are. And this is something that has been growing and spiraling for a very, very long time under Glazer ownership. Sir Jim Radcliffe's got a hell of a job in his hand to move that debt on, to move those accounts on, and get United back up to where we need to be. Look, I'm not expecting Manchester United to be debt free for a long time, but this is bad news. This is going to impact severely on what we can spend on the transfers, and what we can do with the stadium, on what we can do with Carrington, and all the other big projects that we want to see Manchester United undertake, what we want to see the club go through. And this is really, really concerning. It's dead FC, and I don't know how this is allowed in the Premier League. Look, we're seeing Everton being docked 12 points for their financial unsustainability, shall we say, their inability to sustain their current levels of debt and spending and stuff. This is massively concerning. Now, look, United can't have it worked around the rules that we can somehow have this debt and at the same time still be able to avoid those penalties and those punishments. But it's a massive, massive concern, really is. So Fresh is down below. The debt is ridiculous when you consider the players in buying the club. Yeah, absolutely, man. It really, really is. And this is something we need to resolve, and we have to resolve it as soon as possible for the betterment of our football club. I think most importantly, we gotta get it wiped off, and this is Glazer debt. This is just gonna add more fuel to the fire for people who wanted Qatari ownership to see this debt wiped off. And at the minute, we haven't had any official communication from the Ineos group, from Sir Jim himself. We haven't had that plan of action put out there. We haven't had the plan of what he's going to do, and I'm praying that he's going to look at the debt. I'm praying that he's going to move it on. We must be paying off a decent portion of the interest of the debt to be allowed for FFP rules. Yeah, I think we are. I think that's the thing. This debt is pretty much not moving. It's very much just the interests, and that's probably why when we see the actual revenue and the money coming into United grow 11% from last year, that we're still making a loss of £50 million. And that's going to affect the FFP in a big, big way. And I'm not quite sure what the best way to handle this is. I don't know if Sir Jim's plan is going to be to pay off the debt first, if that's going to be something that he's going to want to do through the various means he can raise money for the club. But certainly a very concerning time to be a Manchester United fan. And look, this debt's nothing new. This debt's been here for 18 years and it has never moved on. This kind of takeover that the Glazer family initially took to get over Manchester United, to take that ownership, completely illegal in modern football. We are very much the reason why that rule exists. The leverage buyout, it cannot happen anymore because of us. And we're still stuck with this crowd. And honestly, The sooner the Glazer family are gone, the sooner United's going to find themselves back on their feet. And it's not just about having more money to spend, because we still have spent a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. But the profits are down. We're making loss after loss, year after year, and it's massively concerning. And we're seeing us relying on this revolving credit facility. So it's like buying stuff on your credit card. We are then also £320 million behind on outstanding transfer fees. So Manchester United, as an organisation, if we want to just get away from the financial terms and get away from the business sort of stuff, we are essentially buying with our credit card to run the football club, and we are essentially buying players on Klarna. It's a massive concern if you are a Manchester United fan, and with that kind of revenue, the size of this club, that should never ever be the case. It's ridiculous financial management. It's ridiculous from the Glazer family, and that is why we find ourselves in these situations. Like last summer, where we had to sell to buy, where we couldn't bring in everybody we wanted, where we ended up buying players who might not have been first, or second, or even third choice. We ended up signing players that we could afford. We ended up signing players who would come in for less wages. That's a massive concern as well. That wage bill is something that needs completely cut to pieces. It's down this year, but there are far too many players at this club earning £250,000, £300,000 a week. We're looking at Rashford. We're looking at the likes of Sancho in that situation. Probably Casemiro, Varane, Bruno Fernandes, Martial. These are all players earning northwards of £200,000 per week, and that's completely unsustainable. And to be honest with ourselves, that money that they're getting paid it isn't even earned in the first place. Look, I get giving your best player a massive contract. I understand why Liverpool broke that wage structure to give Mohamed Salah £300,000 per week. I get that. But should we be giving that to players as a means to get them signed? I don't think so. And I think that does also feed into the mentality around Manchester United, that a lot of these players are here for the payday. A lot of these players are here to get that big paycheck every single week. And that's a massive problem, because when it comes time to sell players and move them on, when these guys haven't been performing, top clubs aren't going to buy them. And the top clubs are the only teams out there who can really afford to pay those wages. If by doing that means we were only able to sell players realistically for the money they're earning at the minute to the likes of City, to Chelsea, to Arsenal, Liverpool, maybe even not Spurs, maybe Newcastle, possibly Madrid, Barcelona, teams like that. And honestly, out of the players we need to sell, I don't think any of them would get anywhere close to those teams. So it just makes massive, massive issues, and it's a real cause for concern. It is a crisis. I don't think we're being we're speaking in exaggerated terms when we say that £1 billion debt for a club is absolutely a crisis point. Rashad is done there. Exactly, Bellingham brace won it for Real. Yeah, I mean, Jude Bellingham, another player who probably should be at Manchester United. We were very close to getting that deal over the line, but it never happened. Ultimately, it didn't happen because of the form of United at the time, and also because Jude Bellingham was brought to Carrington for a tour around the facilities, and it's run down as well. So that's probably why he's not playing for Manchester United. Probably better for him that he isn't, because he wouldn't be the player he is today if he was at this football club. So Fresh is down there with the revenue on balance books. We would probably be able to afford 250 million every transfer window. We probably could. I don't think that's too much of an exaggeration. At the minute, on this current level, we're spending about what, 150 million pounds per summer. That's kind of the ballpark we're playing at. Without this debt, we might have 50, 60, even 100 million pounds more. And look, that's the kind of money we're going to need to build a team that can compete. I think we need £1 billion squad investment into this team if we want to be beating City, if we want to be winning Premier Leagues. I think we've got some of it, but a lot of issues are in that team, and a lot of players are not good enough. Some of the best players at the club as well, players who we would be relying upon as well, are definitely on the back end of their career. So that's a concern as well. Jarl is saying Everton is losing 12 points this season. Next year we will be in the same boat as Everton, maybe 12, 24-point loss because of breaking the new FFP rules. I think United will probably find a way around it. So far we've managed to do so, but it doesn't mean the situation's any better. It really doesn't. And all this spending as well, all the money that we've invested into the team, the players we have bought, a lot of that's coming back to hurt us now as well. So these missed transfers, these deals which don't just do not work out, the likes of Sancho and Anthony, Casemiro as well at his age for that price tag should never really have been signed for that amount. It's just causing massive, massive, massive problems further down the line. And it means that you got to get those signings right. And that's a big concern because we haven't been getting signings right for a very long time. So, what we're going to be doing is limiting our ability to replace these players because we're spending so much on their wages, because we're spending so much having them at the club to bring them in as well. So, it's a vicious cycle. The debt increases, United can't pay it off because we have to invest in the squad. We invest in the squad, we buy the wrong players, and then we limit our ability to sell them on and our ability to replace them. So this is the kind of position we find ourselves in. This is why Johnny Evans has been playing for Manchester United this season. This is why Harry Maguire is in the team at the minute. Because if we were run debt free, if we were run without these constraints, we could go after the Kim Min Jais, we could go after the better signings, the smarter signings, and that way we wouldn't have to spend £150 million a season just to be anywhere near competitive. That's genuinely it. Because out of the players we've signed in the last 10 years, how many can we really say have been massive successes? Not very many is the answer. And it's just something we have to really improve upon. Let's see, Jarl is done. Sorry, Rashad is saying Keane, crazy halfway line goal as well. Gonna eat some food and pop beers and champagne if we beat City. Yeah, of course, that's the second thing we want to get talking about. Man United versus Man City tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that one. Look, the prediction is down below. Let me know your thoughts on that one. I went for a win, a draw, a loss, or a heavy loss. Let me know how you think tomorrow's match is going to go. I always get excited going up to these big matches, and very often we get disappointed. Very often we end up losing or even getting smashed up. I really hope that's not the case tomorrow. I really don't. I think one thing we have to see really is a good performance, be compact, be hard to beat as well. If we go a goal down, heads cannot drop because we've seen that this season. We've seen it last season so many times. Whenever we go a goal down, that's the problem. Rashad said could have had Turam and Tabitos come here. I mean, that maybe is something we could see happen. Maybe that is the two good players would definitely come in to the team and probably do well for us. But yeah, look, tomorrow's going to be a big one. I'm looking forward to it. I might regret saying that during the match, but I always look forward to the big matches. And whether we, I think the most important thing is turning up and not dropping those heads, not giving up as well, because we've seen it how many times now when we go a goal down, that's it. The heads drop. We find ourselves 2 or 3 down within 20 minutes, and then the match is over. City could turn up tomorrow, score 1 goal, go half speed at it, and take their foot off the gas and win 4-0. That could happen. They could come up and absolutely smash us, or we could surprise them. I don't think tomorrow's match is going to be a draw. I would be surprised if it ended up a draw. I think it's either going to be a United upset win or a big City win. That's what I think. Jarl says if we lose tomorrow against City, we will have lost against the top 3 clubs in the league for the moment. Yeah, absolutely. Sadiq is down there. The board will have the money to take out dividends for the club, but won't even with £1 billion in debt. Yep, that's true as well. Dividends, money going out, only spending paying off the interest on the loans and not actually touching the debt. It's such a big issue at Manchester United, and it's really got to improve. Do I think Jim Radcliffe comes in and pays off the debt right away? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think what we might see from Radcliffe is the initial buy-in that's probably going to go to shareholder pockets. Then if he buys more shares, if more shares are released, I think that could be part of the plan. That money then raised could go to paying off some debt or paying off some of the Klarna payment transfers we have been making, or paying off the credit facility. I think that's more realistic initially, and I think that's what he's probably going to want to do. Instead of pumping money in for transfers, if he alleviates the debt, that will mean we can always spend more anyway, so that we don't have to actually worry too much about the debt considerations. I think that's got to be one of the big things that Jim Radcliffe has to do if he comes in. But again, a lot of that's going to come down to what kind of control he gets. The debt suits the Glazer family fine because they're technically £536 million in debt, and it's the club paying off the interest on that, so they never have to touch it as well. Um, so Fresh is saying, think Rashford has to show class tomorrow and prove his worth. Yeah, look, that's why I'm talking about Ten Hag's big decision. I think Marcus Rashford is a player who has got a lot of criticism this year, and very, very rightly so. I'm genuinely concerned about how his season's going. We've seen him before start a season poorly. We've seen him before show glimpses. This is up there with that season he had on in Ole's last season and Ranić's tenure. This is kind of feeling like that. Nothing's going right for the guy on the pitch. Everything seems to be going wrong. His decision making is so far off. Everything he does just isn't good enough. Jarl is down there. We need the new owner to come into the club as fast as possible. Be it Yassim or Radcliffe, it does not matter. The Glazers are clueless about money. I wouldn't say they're clueless about money. They've managed to basically build a massive net worth for themselves on debts which they never paid for, take it out in the club, have the club pay off the debt for them, so they own the club, they don't have to pay off the debt, and when they eventually do go, they'll make billions. I think I think they know exactly what they're doing, and I think they've always known what they're doing. It's just the kind of situation that the interest on that debt is so high that Manchester United cannot pay it off. We can only afford to pay off the actual interest, the money owed every month, the money owed every year. We can't touch the actual 500 million, because if we did, we would be so far down the hole, we would find ourselves in financial jeopardy. And both of those are horrendous situations for our football club to be in. And there is a reason why the Glazer style of takeover is now illegal in football. You cannot do it. And it's because of them. And look, sometimes it makes me laugh. It genuinely does. One of the main reasons why FFP was actually brought in the first place was because they feared Manchester United under the Glazer family would have so much money to spend and would be basically just ruining the league um, for everybody else. So they decided that they would put in FFP. That was one of the main concerns in that scenario. So it's genuinely ironic that that is the case. As we know, it did not pay out that way whatsoever under Glazer ownership, and it's been nothing but horrendous for our football club. Who else we got in the comments down below? Rajat is saying, can't play control and possession games with these players, Bruno, Rashford. Yeah, look, we can't. Look, I think that's Luke Shaw in there as well. I think we can with Shaw, but he's not been available since match day 1 or 2, so I'm not going to cut him. I'm not going to have a go with Luke Shaw because he hasn't played, to be fair. Ronnie says, I love United, as you know, my friend, but I can only see a City win. Yeah, I think we always hope for the best, expect the worst. That's my kind of perception of tomorrow's match, is how I can see it going. I don't think it's going to be a draw. I think either United turn up and hit them on the break and manage to get a goal, maybe 2 goals, and win the match, or City turn up and steamroll us. That's what I think could happen. Rashad says, what right back and centre back do we sign in January? I don't think we bring in a right back in January. Now, there is talk about Caceres. I think Caceres is playing in the Uruguayan league, maybe. I think he's being talked about at around £4 million. It's not a big signing. That could be an interesting one. Let me see if I can just get that story. Let me see if I can just get that story up there as well. I think he's like a younger brother of Martin Caceres. Used to play at Juventus as well. Um, Certainly a good player, but is he United? Is he United quality? I don't think so. Sebastian Caceres. That's who they're talking about as centre back. Look, if Radcliffe comes in, maybe we bring in Tobato. That could be a nice thought. That genuinely would. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if we'll bring him in. Big T's down below. Big ups. Can't tell you why, but I got a feeling we're going to win. I mean, man, look, I'll say this. I think we either win on the break and win the match, or we get smashed up. I think I'm lagging a little bit. Let me just double check. It sometimes happens. Am I back to good? Am I back to normal? It looks normal on my end. I might be lagging. I'll just power through this. So Fresh says Tobito is a top centre back, and that's very unlikely in January. Yeah, look, I would agree with that, but I think maybe the Radcliffe ownership could be an interesting one. I would expect to see a link between Manchester United and Nice going forward. Maybe Nice providing some of the young players for Manchester United. Maybe we could work out some sort of a deal there or some sort of an agreement. Let me just quickly refresh my browser. I think I'm still lagging, which is annoying because I can see some people hopping in. There we go. I think I'm back. Maybe. Let me turn this up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, guys. Yeah, look, tomorrow an interesting match. Looking forward to it. I always look forward to the big matches, even though very often in the last couple of years they've gone horrendously wrong for World Cup. I do look forward to them nonetheless. Am I still lagging? I can't tell. I can't tell. Let me know below, guys. Rajat says Jim probably gets 85 to 90% to do that deal. And I'm happy with that. It's great to be on the ball. Everything Carpy, good to see you back, man. I think Qatar will come back with the bid, but nobody knows if the bid's still on the table. I think that bid is pretty much off at this point. For that there, I'm still lag. I don't know what's going on. Let me just try close tab or two here and see if that has any effect on it. Man, I can actually see people hopping in well, and honestly, super laggy. I don't know what's wrong here. It might just be an internet connection. It's in Ireland at the minute. So Fresh is a bit of lag. I'm trying to fix it, but I don't know if it's going to work. Let's just do that. If I click on tabs, maybe. I think it looks like Google's froze on me, which isn't ideal. Let me see this part of this as well. Guys, so on your predictions as well, keep those votes coming in. 3 votes so far. We have United win at 35%. We have 70% going for the 70 for the draw and 30% ahead. The man is done there. The most important derby was the FA Cup final, with the opportunity to stop the treble, but these players could. Now we're talking about the importance of the derby. What BS? And yeah, look, I can't really disagree with that, man. I would totally agree with what you're saying there. No, is that what lag on my end? Why is that doing that? Right. Okay. I think I might have found the issue. Lagging. Yeah. I think I might have found it because for some reason my streaming software was also recording video at the same time. I think that might have been the issue there. There we go. I think it's good. Everything Carpy said, I think there's a big chance the club face bankruptcy and the Glazers are forced to accept the Qatari offer. Look, I don't know if that's going to happen, man. And I'll say it. It does look like that Qatar deal is. It looks like it's going to be regardless of what does eventually happen with the takeover. Look, obviously, even Rab deal hasn't even been ratified yet. That's a concern for sure. Why is it doing? I'm gonna try to fix this here. Hold on, guys. I think it's my streaming software. I think it's a problem. And that's actually been pretty compliant recently, but we'll get back to it. So just part of this. So now I've got some big decisions tomorrow. First and foremost, I think the decision about I think the decision of Marcus Rashford is going to be a big one. Luman, it's on my side. I've just seen your comment go in there. Thing is, our software seems to be working okay. So I think it should eventually just catch up. It might take a second. Two. But yeah, look, he's got big decisions to make and the big calls. What does he do with Rashford? Does he drop him? What does he do with Bruno Fernandes? Does Miro come back in? Does Mount play? Do we go McTominay in midfield for some work rate and solidity, or do we go and try be a little bit more expansive? Maybe put Mount in there for the pressing and for the ability to find those balls going forward that we're gonna have to exploit in tomorrow's match. What is gonna be the solution to this problem? Yeah, Rajat, it's my problem. It says it's not receiving enough video, which is very annoying, but it's kind of loaded back. It might catch up. Just bear with me a second, guys. Let me do that. Yeah, guys, it is okay. So it's back on my end. I think it might be okay. Been like that for the last couple of minutes, but I think the lag might be resolved. Am I back? No audio now. Oh, guys, why does this do this to me? Hold on. Okay, are we back? Is it working? I think it might be working now. I think I'm unlagged. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I think it's back to normal, which is good. Apologies for that. I don't know what was happening. My laptop was just taking a panic attack over everything, but it seems to be working now. It seems to be back to normal. Yeah. So thanks for bearing with me there, guys. Apologies for that. So let's get let's get back into it. So just when we're talking about the derby, so it's going to be a big one. I am looking forward to it. Do I think it's going to go well? I don't know. I always get this weird sort of confidence before a big match. I don't know if it's misplaced. I don't know if it's because I'm praying that United does turn up. Big T says if Mount does not play soon, what do we buy him for? You're not lagging now. Thanks for letting me know. I think all is good. It looks good on my end. Now I think what the issue was is that OBS started recording a video at the same time, so the software was kind of split between trying to capture video and do the actual streaming part as well, which can sometimes happen. I might end up switching that over to StreamYard or something else, but it looks to be okay. It looks to be okay. Newcastle winning 2-1 at halftime. Yeah, I just spotted that as well. So yeah, guys, we'll get back to the main story, talking about this day, talking about, of course, the derby tomorrow. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be an emotional day. United have a big plan for a real send-off for Sir Bobby Charlton in that their one with big mosaics. There's going to be an applause before the actual whistle as well. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be an emotional one. It's going to be a big farewell. But I'm hoping that we're going to rise to the occasion. I think very much on Tuesday night, it was a flat performance. It was a poor performance. We really struggled to get going whatsoever in that match. I want to see us improve. I want to see us turn up with a real big performance, be hard to beat, work hard, do the very fundamentals of the game. That's something we haven't seen often enough this season from this team. And I've said it for a long time, players like McTominay sometimes play, sometimes stand out. And the reason they stand out is because they work hard, because they put a shift in, because they're passionate. That shouldn't be an outstanding quality of Manchester United. We should absolutely be better from back to front. We should absolutely be better, all things considered. And it's such a massive concern. And going back to the debt, I feel like everything's interconnected. And whilst the debt might not actually transfer to what happens on the pitch, whilst the Glazer family might not be actually on the pitch playing for Manchester United, my concern is that they're the only consistencies in this club over the last 10, 15 years. So many players have come and gone. So many managers have come and gone. I think the debt's a real symbol of Glazer ownership at our football club. I think it's a real... that is the legacy of the Glazer family at the club. And the sooner it's gone, the sooner the Glazer family are gone as a whole from the football club, the better we're going to find ourselves, the better position we're going to be in for sure. Who else we got down below? Rajat is in Newcastle winning 2-1 at half time. In terms of the votes on the poll, 36% of you guys kind of go for a win. I do like the confidence. I like the confidence you guys are showing. Let's just hope it transfers into actual performance. Let's just hope it actually turns out to be a genuine good performance for Manchester United. And that's what I think we got to be seeing. Rosetta said Martial McTominay has to feature. They tend to do well. I think Martial's an interesting one. I personally wouldn't play him tomorrow. I also wouldn't play Scott McTominay. If I had to pick best based on who is rumored to be available, I was going to say Casemiro in there. I was going to say Casemiro and Amrabat, and we pack out the middle of the midfield. We play Bruno or Mount ahead of them. We hit them on the break. We press. We tackle. We be effective in possession, because we're not going to play City off the park. We are not going to turn up and have more possession. We're not going to turn up and be able to put in a genuine top-class performance against that Man City team. We are miles behind them in every regard, footballing-wise. Do I think that we can do better with what we got? Absolutely. Absolutely we can. But Ten Hag has some massive decisions to make. I think Marcus Rashford's a big one. Do we play Rashford, who is so out of form, but can do well in these big matches? Has a really good record in the big matches, hitting that space in behind. Maybe we can. But I think Marcus Rashford is increasingly looking like a player who, I'm not, do I dare say it, a limiting factor on our attack. He's very, very one-dimensional. He just does not create enough for his other teammates. Is that having a detrimental effect on Rasmus Højlund? I absolutely think it is. I think Højlund needs more opportunities. Rashford and Antony both want to cut inside and they want to shoot. There's not really chance creation there. And something we are really lacking at the minute is genuine sustained pressure around the opposition's penalty box. We're not seeing it often enough. When we actually do it, it tends to work quite well. But we don't do that on a regular enough basis. Tomorrow's going to be a good match because we have that opportunity to hit them in behind. They will turn up with the high line. They will be able to be got at in that way. If we go with Rashford and we go with Højlund and maybe Antony, or if we can do Pellistri even for another example, we can hit that space in behind. Højlund is so quick and deadly on the counter. Rashford can be so effective on the counter. Antony does have the pace to get in behind. If we turn up tomorrow, we put Bruno on the right hand side, we put Mount in the middle. That kind of says that we're going to limit ourselves going forward. Bruno on the right, it just doesn't work out. That's the big call Ten Hag has to make in tomorrow's match. Luman says, whether we accept it or not, the Glazers have ruined and finished the club, but Sir Jim destroyed all the chances we had to recover by coming in. Qatar, he's done a crime and a bigger one. I don't think he's done a bigger crime. It's not the takeover we wanted, but it's a takeover we got. And for many reasons, I guess we got to accept that. There's not too much we as a fan can really do to impact a £1.5 billion deal. None of us have that kind of money. My concern is if the Qataris genuinely had the money, if the Sheikh Yassim genuinely had the money, he would have probably paid the extra £500 million and got it over the line. They very much seemed limited to what they had. They didn't want to go above that. And I understand that. I completely get that. I just think the big problem in terms of this overall takeover is the Glazer family staying in power. Do we want it? No, not one fan wanted that for sure throughout the entire process of this takeover. Not one fan wanted to see the Qataris, or well, Radcliffe come in with a minority bid. But if it eventually leads to Glazers going a better structure, I guess that's going to be better than nothing. Let me see who've got down below. So Fresh is down there. And we need to make sure we press well all over the pitch and make sure that we keep their passing triangles flowing well. Yeah, absolutely. Cutting off the passing, cutting off those passing lanes. No De Bruyne for them will be a big miss tomorrow. That's a guy who can make an opportunity out of nothing. But we got to be good in this one. And we have to put someone on Rodri. We have to stop him really controlling things tomorrow. Rajat says Radcliffe isn't going to clear the debt. He never said he will. Qatar was the only real hope. There was talk about Jim potentially paying off the debt at one point, and what he wanted to do with that. I would like to let me just pull up that article as well, because it was from the start of the year. There was something about that he would be willing to pay the debt off. Let me see if I can find that, because it was from a while ago as well. Sir Jim Radcliffe would not burden the club with further debt and would work towards paying off the debt. This was from February. Now that deal's probably changed a little, but we really haven't had a lot of communication from Ineos. We really haven't had a lot of public announcements, and I think once it's eventually ratified, we'll find out where we're going to be headed as a football club. Let me see. Lucky is down there. Avram and Joel out. sit in tomorrow. Rashford and Anthony cannot cross the ball. Absolutely, they can't. Massive problem there. Leman said, didn't see Ten Hag's press yesterday. He said Rashford will play all the matches. What a disrespect to other players fighting for their places in the team. Ten Hag is just a talking manager. Yeah, look, I think I would be disappointed by that as well. I think no player should be untouchable. If it's Bruno, if it's Rashford, if it's Casemiro, Varane, doesn't matter who it is. I would like to have a genuine meritocracy where good performances see you on the pitch, bad performances see you dropped. I think the big problem is with Marcus Rashford is Alejandro Garnacho, the real competition on that left-hand side, hasn't been playing well either this season. By his standards, he hasn't been as explosive. He hasn't looked as dangerous. And I think that is maybe where we're seeing Rashford being stuck with as well. I think if Garnacho was genuinely dropping really good performances, he probably would find himself in the starting 11. Does he deserve more time coming on the pitch? Absolutely he does. Give him more opportunities, he will have more opportunities to put in good performances. But I think the lack of form throughout this entire team is really why we're seeing a lot of these players being played through bad form in the hope that they might turn things around with some goals or some confidence building. But it's an issue. It really is an issue, and it's something we definitely do want to see improved. Who else we got down below? Rajaz said it's bullcrap everywhere at the club. Absolutely, man. Big T says we will do better with Jim than with the Glazers alone. We have to, surely. I would agree with that, Big T. We will do better, and with a better structure and a better plan at Manchester United to use the resources there, that's going to be a massive improvement. If we're spending 150 million pounds a transfer window, then giving that money to people who know how to use it, that's going to be a big advantage to us as well. Let me see down below. Jarl is saying, I'm confident that Jim actually wants to fix the money issues down the line. He will do it by getting Blanc into the club as CEO. I think that's definitely a play. Now, we talked the other night about Richard Arnold. Richard Arnold, CEO, is expected to be let go by Manchester United. He is expected to be axed. I think that's nothing but a good thing. Arnold and John Murda are two people at this club who I've been calling out for quite a while. For two people who I really think have no place at Manchester United. And I think that the sooner we move on from those guys who have overseen abject failure in the last 2 to 3 years, that's going to be a lot better. In the same way Ed Woodward had to go after overseeing 10 years of failure. But bringing people in who know what they're doing gives you a much better chance. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. Paul Mitchell might have absolutely no power whatsoever to make any kind of impact at Man United. Blanc may have very little control that he can actually exert over the football club as a whole. He might find himself trying to put Radcliffe and the Ineos plan in whilst getting a lot of opposition from the Glazer family. It might be an impossible situation. It might work out. It might eventually turn out to be a good thing for this club. But time is going to tell. Time will tell what's going to happen there as well. Luman says a lot, all a little. Oh, about McTominay and Martial featuring. And Rajad says Martial tends to do well against City. I mean, my problem with Martial has always been availability, has always been his lack of consistency with injuries and actually staying fit. I think that's a big problem that Anthony Martial has had at Manchester United. And I really do think that it's something that has hampered him as a player. The potential Martial had at the beginning of his Manchester United tenure was absolutely brilliant. But it's been such a disappointment. I mean, the guy had a Ballon d'Or clause in his contract for a reason. So Fresh is saying, should I even think about Sancho at this point? I don't think so, man. I think the Sancho experiment is well and truly dead and buried. He seems happy to leave in January. I think the club will be happy to move him on, but that is another abject failure. And that's another player we've let down because the ability Sancho has is second to none. What he did at Dortmund was remarkable at such a young age. He should be, at this point, one of the best players in world football. He's only 23. He still could do it elsewhere. I think it's the right time for him to go. I think it's the right time for us to move on as well. And hopefully we can get a transfer fee. If he ends up going to Saudi, I think that's pretty much his career done. He's finding himself in a position where he's not even in the England squad. He probably might never get back in there. He's going up against Bukayo Saka for a place on the right-hand side. Does Sancho have... Has Sancho ever shown form at Manchester United like what Bukayo Saka has done in the last 2 to 3 years? I don't think so. So I think it's a concern if you are Jadon Sancho. I hope that he makes a clean break. I hope we manage to get a good fee for him and can reinvest. And I hope his career works out well elsewhere. But I just don't think it's ever going to happen at Manchester United. I can't see it turning around. I just can't. It's how many players come back from this type of punishment, from this type of treatment from the club, where they're exiled, where they're not allowed to be involved in any first team training facilities, where they're not allowed to eat lunch with the other players, where they are given their lunch in a separate room in a lunchbox. That for me is a big concern. I can't see him turning that around. As much goodwill in the world, I just can't see it. And I think even Ten Hag going doesn't guarantee it, because I think a new manager would walk in and say, there's been trouble with Sancho in the past. There's been massive issues with this guy throughout his career at Manchester United. Do we end up, do we try to bring him back and expect anything different? I don't know. I really don't. I think a clean break's going to be best for both parties in this case. Look, tomorrow's going to be an interesting match. I would like to know your guys, what kind of team would you like to see tomorrow? If you guys want to get your starting 11s into the chat, I'll go through mine. This is what I would like to see. I'd like to see Andre Onana in goals. I think that's guaranteed. I think it's going to be Wan-Bissaka, sorry, not Wan-Bissaka, Dillo, because Wan-Bissaka is still injured. I think it's going to be Varane, I think it's going to be Maguire, and I think it's going to be Reguilon. I think the back four and the goalkeeper pick themselves. There's no real other options in the back line, unless we want to put Victor Lindelof on against Erling Haaland, which is only going to end one way. Midfield's going to be an interesting one. I think Casemiro will not be available for tomorrow's match. According to some of the news going around, it might be a little bit too soon for him, so wouldn't expect to see Casemiro play. I would definitely think then it's going to be Sofyan Amrabat. Then who do we put beside him? Do we go McTominay and hope for the work rate? I don't know, because McTominay's work rate has been lacking in recent matches, mostly because of the role he's played. I don't know if it's him or if it's Ten Hag, but he doesn't seem to know whether he's meant to be playing in a pivot, if he's meant to be a midfield player, or if he's meant to be a striker. He's genuinely up there on top of Rasmus Højlund most of the time. I don't know what we do about that. I think that experiment has to end one way or another. I would probably put Mount in there as well. I would say maybe we go Mount, Bruno, Amrabat, maybe. But I can see Bruno being on the right hand side. I think that's probably more realistic. So probably Mount or Eriksen, McTominay and Amrabat. Bruno on the right, Højlund through the middle, Rashford on the left. That's what I think it's going to be. Do I agree with those? I don't really know as well. So Fresh says comparison of Rashford versus Nketiah, who scored a hat trick today. I mean, Eddie Nketiah is a good player. I don't think he's anything special. Look, he scored a hat trick today, but he hadn't scored in 9 or 10 matches before that. He does seem to be a player who gets goals and clumps, and unfortunately he tends to score against us as well. I think he's got a couple against us. But I think he's a good player. He shows some strength and depth. I think Jesus is still Arsenal's #1 forward player. I do, but let's see, Luman is down there. Can I say Lindelof won't be able to stop Haaland? Does that mean Maguire can? I don't think so. I think Maguire is equally as able to be caught out by Erling Haaland. I think Maguire has a better chance against Erling Haaland physically. Maguire is slow, Haaland is quick, we know this. But what we can say as well is if we play a little bit deeper tomorrow, that won't be an issue, because there won't be that space behind him to be caught out. I think Victor Lindelof gets cooked for pace and he gets burst aside by Erling Haaland. So I think Maguire will be the guy. I would be very surprised if it was anything else. Big T says City's defence has been conceding goals lately. I think that we should invite them on and counter. I think that's got to be the plan. I think cut off those passing lanes. Let them have the ball from the centre backs and Rodri. That's what they're going to want to do. They'll want the full backs to come in. They'll want to keep the wingers wide and occupy and try and make space that way. So I think what we got to do is mid-block them. I don't think pressing from the front is going to work. They're very cool, calm and collected on the ball. So I think if we manage to cut off the passes in the middle of the pitch, that means we can spring on them with Rashford and Højlund and hit them in behind. I think that's going to be key. Liman says, all we can hope is City have enough time we can get away with less than 3-goal defeat. I mean, look, I've said it before. It'll either be United necking a win on the break, or it'll be City running away with it. I don't think it's going to be one of those matches where it's going to be like 4-3 or anything. I would be concerned. I don't back us to keep a clean sheet in this one tomorrow. I don't think we're capable of doing that at the minute. I would love to be proved wrong. I would love for um, United to turn out tomorrow, be really hard to beat, be defensively solid, nick a goal on the counter, and win the match 1-0. That could be brilliant, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. We were very defensively sound last year, and we conceded 7 goals in 2 league matches, and we conceded 2 in the FA Cup final as well to City. So they probably will score tomorrow, expect it. Lucky says Mason Mount has to break it up in games like this. I think, yeah, I would put Mason Mount in for this one. I don't think this McTominay experiment is working. At the minute, Christian Eriksen's arguably playing probably the best football out of any of our midfielders. So I think we could go Amrabat, Eriksen, McTominay, or Amrabat, Eriksen, Mount. I think Bruno's going to be on that right wing regardless. I do. That's what I think we're going to be seeing. And I'm not a fan of it. I never have been. I don't think Bruno works there. He's the guy, if you put him in the middle, he might pick that pass and get Rashford or Haaland in behind. But I think that's where we're going to play him because Erik ten Hag seems to have some sort of obsession with it. For me, it's not what I want to see. I think it'll be interesting to see how City line up tomorrow. I expect Rodri will be back. Haaland, of course, will be through the middle. Julian Alvarez probably plays as well. I think we can learn a lot from their recent matches as well, what they've been playing as a lineup and where we can really exploit them. It's kind of been that back three. It's kind of been that sort of Rico Lewis stepping up, but it's an interesting ship. But we can get at them as well. Make no mistake about it. Their midfield will be interesting. I worry about Jeremy Doku running at Dillo or Reguilon. I do. I worry about Jack Grealish finding space and being hard to beat against these types of players. I think Wan-Bissaka is a player we would like to see in this one. I don't know if we will see him in that. Akanji, of course, suspended, so that's going to be a change has to make as well. I would expect Gavardio probably to come in, Stones, players like that. It's going to be an interesting ride tomorrow. Maybe Pep overthinks it. Maybe Pep ends up doing something really convoluted and gets it wrong. I don't know. I really don't. So Fresh to 5-2-3 tomorrow. Delo, Varane, Maguire, Lindelof, Reguilon, Casemiro, and Amrabat in midfield with Rashford on the left, Haaland through the middle, and Antony on the right. I mean, that would be defensively solid, you would hope. I don't think Casemiro is going to be available. That one account on Twitter, I think it's United Insider, that it's the account that basically got banned because things that weren't even public knowledge within the club were getting leaked on that account. I think they had said Casemiro not expected to be back tomorrow. Wan-Bissaka going to be out as well, but it's probably not a bad thing with Wan-Bissaka because whilst he is good going up against traditional wingers, Jack Grealish isn't really that, and neither's Phil Foden, and they've had good matches against him recently because he gets sucked in to marking his opposing wide player, and that just leaves a lot of space for the fullback to burst into, and that is where City have been hurting us from as well. Got to watch out for cutbacks, got to defend that box well. I think it's going to be an interesting one. City could turn up and steamroll us. We could end up hitting them on the break. So Fresh is saying if Casemiro is absent, I would probably choose Bruno. I think, yeah, I think it will be an interesting team tomorrow. I think Ten Hag might have some ideas. It could easily be Amrabat, McTominay, and Christian Eriksen in midfield, Bruno on the right. And from McTominay, you probably get that work rate, if that's the job he's told to do. From Amrabat, you get the progressive passes, the blocking of those passing lanes, and Eriksen hopefully can find the balls over the top. I think Bruno will be on the right regardless. Not that we want to see that, but that's probably what we're going to get. It's not ideal. It's really not, because by now you would like to think Antony would be a serious player at the club. You would like to think Sancho would be a guaranteed starter or something, but that's not what we get. But look, it's going to be an interesting tactical battle tomorrow. I think the unknown with United might play into our hands. Pep, as we know, can be a guy who can sometimes end up overthinking things, getting things wrong, trying to change too much to deal with a certain threat. Man Utd is good to see. Man, hope all is good. Lucky wants to see Delo. I don't mind a draw, break up the play. I mean, I would absolutely take a draw. I would, but I don't think we're going to get it. I don't think we've drew a match all season. And I can't see us starting now either. I think our record's something like 8 wins, 5 losses this season, something like that. So I would be surprised personally if we ended up drawing tomorrow's match just based on the track record so far. But it could happen. It absolutely could happen. Anything's possible. City could turn up and have a really off day, and we could end up scoring 2 or 3 goals. I would doubt it, but it could happen. Let's see, what is Lucky saying? Mason Mount, Bruno, Delo, Evans, Maguire, Sofin, Amrabat. We know as players how difficult this game is. Yeah, look, it's a big one. We got to turn up and we have to put a shift in. We have to fight. We have to have desire. We have to be hard to beat. We can't afford for this to be an Anfield. We can't afford for this to be an Etihad or a Brentford or any of the other big losses we have suffered in the last 2 or 3 years. We cannot not let heads drop. Last season, we fought back from a goal behind against City to win the match 2-1. That's the kind of fight we need to see tomorrow. The fans will be up for it. The stadium will be up for it. Can the players be up for it? That's my concern, because if we go a goal down, which might well happen, we cannot afford to drop the heads. If the heads drop, it's game over, because we've seen this story before. We've seen it time and time again, where we turn up, we let in a goal early doors, and then all of a sudden it's the floodgates open because the players are mentally beat already. I think there is mental weakness in this team. I think we are a team of quitters at times, so we cannot afford that tomorrow under any circumstance whatsoever. We have to be good. We have to be at our best. City could beat us playing at 70% of their best comfortably. We have to turn up and we have to put a real shift in. The fans deserve it. The club needs it. We've built up some momentum, 3 wins in a row. Think we deserve to win those matches? No, but we have to make that count for something. So Fresh says Ericsson lacking in stamina, or I think he would probably start. McTominay, a good shout to start in a game like this for his work rate. Maybe that's what we go for. I think you also get that work rate out of Mason Mount. I think Mount, Amrabat, and McTominay is maybe as close to a midfield like you'll see in this one. Bruno on the right-hand side, I'm not a fan of it, but he isn't going to be going up against a traditional fullback. It will probably be Nathan Ake on that side. So that's maybe something we can use to our advantage in this one. They'll want to pack out the midfield. Man Utd says City will test Onana right from minute 1. They will, but we got to test Ederson. Ederson is a good goalkeeper, but he can make mistakes. We have to test him. We have to see if he's on his toes, if he's ready for this match tomorrow. That's some of the